Step right up and join the most vibrant circus community in the world, circustalk.com. This is In Center Ring. I'm your host, Jonathan Lee Iverson. Endowed with a peculiar gift, he's turned a common ability into a masterful talent and renowned career in entertainment. From world champion whistler to an unlikely circus star, In Center Ring presents Sean Lomax.
I started, of course, when I was just a kid whistling, and throughout, growing up, people would say, "Oh, wow, that's really great," and I would learn their style of whistling, and then they would say, "You should go to that whistling competition," and I'd be like, "Where's it at?" And they'd go, "It was on the news," and this went on for years. Finally, I'm in Maui, Hawaii, in the Navy, as a sailor in a bar, and the bartender says, "You're really good. You should go to that whistling competition." And this has gone on now since I was like 13, maybe years old. Now I'm in my 20s. And I go, "Yeah, but you don't know where it's at." He goes, "Nah, I don't." He goes, "But my friend just went and came back. Here's his number." Finally found it. And this was 1980. Oh, my goodness. It must have been 1984. And so that's when I went to my first whistling competition and got picked up on CNN. And I was in my uniform.
Right.
And, of course, there was a gentleman at home channel surfing. It was on CNN all weekend. Remember back in the day at CNN, they used to do all the stories, and at the end they'd have a tag, a warm, fuzzy feeling story.
Right.
Well, they ran the whistling competition all weekend. There's a guy at home channel surfing. He happens to see it. He goes in Monday morning and says, "Find out who that sailor is and get him." And of course, it was Johnny Carson.
You're going to hear an amazing display of whistling. He is the winner, as we mentioned before, of the National Whistling Convention in North Carolina. Petty Officer First Class Sean Lomax.
Three times on the show. It's been just how that stuff happens. And of course, that was 30 years ago. But wow, at the time for me,
Johnny Carson was it, man.
Johnny Carson from the ghetto. That was like, wow.
Yeah, man. Johnny for whistling.
Yes, for whistling. You liked it.
Great indeed. You for whistling.
For whistling.
I love it, man. And I'm telling you, man, I'm not patronizing you whatsoever.
Thank you.
The thing about it that is so fascinating to me is, it makes that proverb come to life where it says, "Your gift will make room for you." And
yes.
Bring you before great men. It just blows me away how something as simple as your gift, the way you do it, is so transcendent that people who aren't even interested in it or even thinking about it are like, "You need to do something with that." That's amazing, man.
I get responses from people. "Oh, you remind me of my Opa," or "You remind me of my grandfather, my uncle," or it has a sentimental attachment, whistling. If you can do it, you do great. Those who can't whistle, well, okay. But most of the time, the people that approach me come up with these stories. "Oh, my grandmother or my grandfather or I used to whistle, but then I had surgery and I can't now." And it touches people at a level that you're just not used to. At least originally, I wasn't used to hearing that type of stuff. Growing up as a kid, it was always "Shut up and stop that whistling." And I used to get, chased and beat up and all that other stuff. And so it just changed. It changed. But of course, there were a lot of people who didn't like it too. So it's.
But it's always like that.
They're always the dissenters.
Yeah, there will always be that. You always got your haters. You always
Yeah,
got,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
but you know, you have to lean into the people that you're meant to touch. I think that's so
Right.
beautiful because now that you say that, it makes all the sense in the world that people would have an emotional connection to it, you know, where people are telling you these very intimate details of their life and how you just
Right.
whistling, you know, reawakens that kind of thing. Because I think of it now,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking of, you know, I do. I think of my granddad, you know, like,
Right.
or it's like, yeah, you know, just, and it's something that, you know, at the time, it goes over your head. You don't even think about it, but it does have that.
But it leaves an
Yeah,
impression
yeah.
that lasts with people for so many years.
Obviously they've got world champion whistling contests and
Yes.
things like that. I mean, listen, your gift was so expansive that it got you on Carson 3 times.
Yeah.
So when I say you're the GOAT, you're the GOAT because I didn't see any other whistlers or Carson. So you're the GOAT. It's so like when you realize, okay, I have something special. Were there, let's say, particular whistling icons that you started to study? I mean, is there anybody that, any particular person or people who, you know, who were doing the same thing, who were really like made it their profession, who you looked at like, okay, I want to learn from them? Who were they for you?
Oh my. Uh, Dr. Horatio Q. Birdbath, who was a whistler for Disney and many of the whistling outtakes from Disney. However, he never, you don't know his name because no one ever assigned anything to the whistler. It was just there. Who did that whistling? You don't know. Of course, the Andy Griffith tune, the theme, the whistler who whistled that, the blind whistler, Fred Lowry, who sold, I think, over 4 million or 5 million albums for whistling during the 1950s and the 60s. One of the most successful whistlers. Of course, you know, I modeled myself or learned and admired him as a whistler. They're just so, there are many whistlers out there, but they just, it's one of those things that people remember, but it's just not, it's not in the forefront. It's always kind of in the background. And with my whistling, what I've tried to do is to bring it out to the, you know, bring it out to the forefront. And, you know, people go, oh, well, all you whistle is classical and opera. Well, I like classical and I like opera. And that's my favorite stuff. But it's like, well, can't you whistle anything contemporary? And I'm like, yeah, of course. That's easy. The other stuff is what's hard. With the proper background music or anything, I can whistle anything.
To me, this is it's just crazy. It's in a beautiful way because it's like it's something I've never, like, it's something we do right all the time. You know, people,
everyone does,
you know, in every way. And it has its own language, right? And its own.
Yes, my grandmother had a special code that she's the one who got me whistling as a kid.
Okay.
And she had a special code. You know, if I was out in the field or wherever, even my friends knew it. And they'd go, up, time to go in. It's time for dinner or something, or the cookies are ready, or and that it was just a natural thing. But she whistled around the house. I picked it up and took it to definitely another level.
So
And
you and your grandmother have a real great connection.
oh, absolutely. We had a great connection. She called me one time many years ago. Had to be 1990s. And she said, everything's taken care of. There's no doubt. You'll have no problems. And I'm like, Mom, what? She says, you're going to whistle at my funeral. And she says, there will be no question about it. And I was like, whistling in church. The last time I whistled in church, I seen stars. That was my aunt, and she backhanded me from the pew, and
Oh
I seen
man.
stars. I was like, oh. So it was like that was a very difficult thing to deal with at the time.
Right,
But
right.
she had given me that, and I did eventually whistle at her funeral, and it gave me. She not only gave me whistling, but at that point, I lost. And as an entertainer, when I say this, I hope you'll understand what I truly mean in my heart. I lost the fear of performing.
Mm.
That fear that you get when I was on the Tonight Show the first time. The most difficult part was to keep my lip that was shaking, quivering from fear. My knees,
Yeah.
and my lip is quivering, and I'm trying to keep it from doing that. But when she gave me that permission, it took away the fear, because whistling at your grandmother's funeral is that's the gig.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everything else then paled in comparison. So therefore, the fear just was lifted at that point, and I became a different type of whistler.
Now this is something else, man, because here it is, you're a guy whose gift made room for him to again appear on the show of shows at the time, Johnny Carson.
At the time,
And,
yeah, there was no America's Got Talent. There was no this or that. Yeah.
You already had to have the talent for Johnny to
Exactly.
go get him.
If you were on a Tonight Show, Johnny Carson invited you, that was it.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was the big gold ring.
right.
That was the big.
But, I didn't know. I was working, and I was just trying to pay the bills, and that was it.
And
I had no illusions of grandeur.
Yeah, did that change? I mean, I'm assuming it had to change your life.
It did. Suddenly, I was getting calls. So, hey, would you like to go to Japan? Yeah, I've been to Japan many, many times when I was in the Navy, but I've never been on that side of Japan. And boy, wow.
It's wonderful.
Wow. It was, oh man. Eating dinner at the Hilton, Tokyo. It's an experience that I will remember till the day I die. It was just totally different, a different environment to be when you're on the gas stand and just not, I'm a sailor here and I'm doing my job and I'm on a submarine and I don't see a lot. I go on tours and stuff like that. But then to come back as a guest, wow, it was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
That is so
I never would have been able to afford that dinner on my salary.
right.
And this was 1995. Oh my goodness. It was fantastic. Fantastic.
Wow. How do you get to Cirque du Soleil?
Okay, so I'm working as a network guy. I've always been I'm a geek. I've always been that guy. Started out with Microsoft and all of that stuff. So I'm at work at my job as a network engineer, and email pops in, ping, and it's from Cirque du Soleil, and I'm like, what the heck? I open the email. It says, we found your website. We like what you do, and it would behoove you to put together a video and put it in our database. And I'm like, okay, well, what are they going to do? Dress me as a bird and put me on a thing and have me flying around the ring?
So you know how to do acrobatics, right?
Yeah. Well, I was a gymnast, but that was like
Right.
yeah, years ago.
Those days are gone.
Yeah, those days are, yeah. At this time, this is 2003, so I'm 43 years old, and I'm a grown, I'm not an old man, but I'm getting there. And subsequently, I made a video, sent it to them, and about 6 months later, I received another ping in the mail. Oh, we liked your video. We'd like to invite you to a audition in Las Vegas. Well, at the time, I lived in Southern California, so it was merely getting off work, driving, contacting some friends. Hey, do I got somewhere to stay? Of course, always. Boom. So I drove up to Las Vegas, did the interview with the awesome piano player. We subsequently did Whistling This Christmas, which is
Oh wow.
an album from Pete's Christmas. This is another story.
Okay.
And we did really, really well. And he would just play. He would just start playing stuff, and I would just fall in because my musical information, or the music that's in my head, was all of the stuff that he knew, and it was just he'd just play and he'd switch the songs, and I would just boom, 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 and we hit it off fantastically.
Wow.
And needless to say, the guy who was doing the interview for Cirque du Soleil was just overwhelmed, and he took the information back to Cirque, and then nothing. And then another 6 months went by, and it just I got a call from a gentleman, and he said, Sean, they're going to make you an offer. And I was like, what? I'm coming out of an interview, a reading. I'm in downtown LA, and I'm coming out of an interview, this little place. And I answer the phone, and he goes, they're going to make you an offer. And I'm like, whoa. And that was it. In 2004, October, I packed my bags. I resigned from my job, packed my bags, and went to creation for Corteo. It's like, wow. And that's where I jumped into. Before, it was just if someone needed whistling and I could do it and not interfere with my job. We're doing a dedication for windmill and windmill farm, and it's like the largest in the world. And whistling would be really great. Windmill whistling,
right?
The national anthem, and I'd go, okay, where is it? It's in Buffalo Ridge, Idaho. Okay, so if I could fit it into my schedule, I would just do it.
Right.
And now it's like, okay, you can actually make a living at doing this. When I got up to Cirque du Soleil, one of the things, I had no idea what I was going to be doing. And they said, read this book, read this book, read this book, and read this book. And I'm reading about your predecessor, Mr. Branagh, I think his name was, who was the longest, Fred. And when you read this stuff, you're going back to the Old Circus, and you're getting to see what it was really like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was just a foundation. You're not playing this character, but you're getting a background, a wonderful opportunity to do research and to read about the circus. And then here I was, I had no idea what I was going to be doing. And then for them to come out and say, you're going to be the whistling ringmaster. The ringmaster, Fred Branagh, wore a gold chain around his neck. At the end of that chain was a whistle. He had a code that he could send out to ring 3, ring 2, ring 1, and those codes would go out, and that would be speed up, slow down, you wrap it up. I had no idea. And they said, instead of having a whistle around your neck, you're going to be the whistling ringmaster. So that was the concept that Daniele had for the character. And then there were other obstacles.
Of course. Oh, we have to get into the obstacles. We have to get into the obstacles. Absolutely. 'Cause I would love for you to really tell us, how do you protect such a gift from people really, let's say, being dream killers around you?
It's very, very difficult. As I said, I was in the military, and then I worked in the corporate world, and then going to Cirque du Soleil. So what I'm doing now, and I think if you watch the webinar or the Wired Obsessed,
Okay.
I'm teaching how I did what I did, or giving information on what's best, quality, breathing, and the inner workings of whistling. I won a competition in 1988, 1989 or something like that, or excuse me, 1992. And then it's, oh, well, he's old now, his fingernails are dirty, yeah, he's probably on that stuff. And so when I went back the third time, that was 1992, that was 2012, 1992 to 2012, that's 20 years. So it was 20 years when I won the third time.
Wow.
So if there was any question, oh, well, that, as far as I'm concerned, that kind of took care of everything. 20 years later, going back and then doing it. So I'm done as far as professionally competing or whistling.
Right.
But as far as now sharing what I've learned over these 55 years from my grandmother and Julie Andrews, it was Do Re Mi who did it. I was 5 years old. My grandmother brought me the album, and I just learned every song on there. There was everything on that album: classical, folk, contemporary, jazz. I mean, it was all there.
What an incredible musical, huh?
Yes, and that's how I got started, and that's what gave me that oomph. So I'm not trying to protect it so much now. I'm just trying to share, as an old man now, 60, to share what I have for others, and they can possibly learn it and to move on with it. But also to give some of those items that I learned in the Navy, some of those items that I learned, out in the corporate world. You don't whistle with your hands in your pockets. You don't come on stage and just be looking around, and you come out, and from the time you leave backstage, when you step across that line from the backstage curtain, you should be in character. Those are the type of things that if you're going to be a performer, or if you're going to go to competitions, that make a difference when the judge sees that you coming out and you're just out there with your hands in your pockets or whatever. That's really not the way to do it. But I can share those things that I've had the opportunity. And I'm basically just mixing respect for the judges the same way I did when I was in gymnastics as a kid. You come out, you bow to the judges, and then you start. You don't come walking up to the mat and then just start doing your thing.
Right.
There's a procedure. So I hope to be able to share that. And then, of course, the technical aspects of whistling. There's so much. It took me 55 years.
How long did you do gymnastics?
Oh, that was flipping around as a kid. And then I went to the National Summer Youth Sports Program. And that was at Trees Hall in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And basically, it was classes where you learn gymnastics in a gymnastics environment down with the team, Pitt University. And what it was, how old was I? 11, 10, 11, 12, 13. And around 13, that's where you're like, okay, gymnastics, girls. I was getting into photography in the dark room and all of that stuff. I got kept the physique and everything.
Right.
But I did that. It had to be, it all moved in a, if you were good at gymnastics, then you knew how to dive. You could dive with the divers, and so as you moved out into life, you kept those things, and it was part of your tools. And I had a friend. We would be in a bar, and he would bet the guy that I couldn't do a back somersault standing, and of course we'd have our drink money for that. I do a back somersault. Everybody expected me to land on my head. Of course, I do a back somersault, and all right, but you can only do that so many times.
Right.
Sit up.
Oh,
but we were, it stayed with me until I couldn't do it anymore. There's a point where you just go,
Yeah, I found that out.
It's always been there, and people say, "Well, can you still dive?" And I was like, "I'm 60."
Look, to me, you're living a charmed life. You really
yes.
are, and also thank you for your service. Now, how long was your naval career?
15 years,
Okay.
and I was stationed the entire time. It was terrible. In Pearl Harbor, Hawaii.
Wow.
15 years in Hawaii. It was the most, going to the beach, going to luau's. It was wonderful. It was the most wonderful experience. I was a cook originally in the Navy, and I took advantage of programs. It's called selective re-enlistment and conversion, and I went from cook to electronics data systems technician, and so there were opportunities to kind of lift myself up, and people will lift you up too if you put the proper handles on for them to grab onto. So studying and doing my electronics courses and stuff like that. That's what really helped me out to progress from, being a cook in the Navy to eventually being the guy who had the key.
Right.
Yeah, but we can't go there. We can't go there.
No, man. I don't want the government after you, man.
No.
He knows too much.
Yeah. This is
This is the Whistler Project we have to take care of.
I still have it's been a while, but I think I still have a room in what is it, in the federal prison somewhere if I get to. But anyway, that was back then, and that's 30 years, 40 years, and wow, it's been too much fun. Too much fun. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And so here you are in Cirque. At the time is really among the biggest live entertainment entities on the planet. You get that call, and you're in this fantastic character as the whistling ringmaster.
Yeah.
And what were let's put it this way. What were your expectations, and were those expectations met? Did they exceed your expectations, or did they fall flat?
It fell flat. I went there with, wide-eyed, bushy-tailed, and I followed the information that I was given. I studied, I read the books. They said, okay, this is what you're going to do. And there's almost like a dual personality or in Cirque du Soleil. There are those who are into creativity and the artistry of Cirque, and then there are those that have their own agenda at working. And there are people that you should be around, and there are people you shouldn't be around. I was always kept in a position of, you don't know if you're being you could be gone tomorrow. Now, I've already resigned from my job, and I still have payments and things that I have to make, and so on and so forth. And so it puts you under a certain amount of pressure when you don't know for sure. I was again in a placed in a background situation, not to be too out there. I'm already this ringmaster wearing this awesome costume, and my body is old, gymnast. So and it works. And it was actually Guy who and his kids, I guess, who said he doesn't need to be up there on the light post. He needs to be center stage. And it went in that. And that's it just started falling apart from there, because there are people who don't want to see that. You have no idea. I could write a book just on that. We make it through creation, and we're on the road, and we premiere April 21st, 2000. I think it's 2005. And everything is going great, and we get out on the road, and that's where it starts. And there's always the chipping away at your professionalism. There's always a chipping away at trying to make you feel less about yourself than you actually do, and it's cumulative. And wow.
And what would you say the reasoning behind that was?
The reasoning behind it, I think, is that because the position that I was in, it was showing a young, middle-aged black man as the ringmaster in this show, and it just, I don't think the people who are I don't want to call anybody names, but their agenda is not to promote a black ringmaster. It just didn't fit the scenario. I'll never forget, there was one of my really, really good friends from Los Angeles got to see the show in San Francisco, and she says, they're not going to let you continue to do this. You're too strong in the position. You're coming out. You're showing strength, and when you come out, you just exude. And they're not going to continue to let you do this. So you need to prepare. And I was like, okay. And eventually, it got to the point where I was having confrontations with people that it really wasn't necessary, because I was doing my job. Of course, I was doing my job as far as going out, doing the whistling and in the show. But it was very difficult. It was more difficult than it should have been for a character who's supposed to be a main character in the show. And it was like you're constantly, climbing and trying to get ahead of these darts and arrows that are constantly being shot in your direction. Everything. Just recently, one of the reasons that I had to resign, for example, I needed surgery on my eyes. I had cataracts really bad, to the point where, as well as I do, backstage, it's dark. And if you can't see, or because of cataracts, it's very dangerous. And basically, it was like, okay, well, you can't see. We're going to make all the script and all of the appointments and scheduling the smallest font that we possibly can. It's things like that
Wow.
just not being in the program as the ringmaster, not being in the program
Wait a minute. They didn't put you in the
at
program. You're
all.
like a main character, and you're not in the program.
Right. I mean, it was a picture of me in the back that, like everyone, all the characters in the show. But as far as in the program, no.
Mm.
It was just, it was a mess. Anyway, so at that point, there were so many things going on. Anytime I would say, there's a problem, can we address it? It was joked, laughed about, oh, you're so funny, yeah, Sean. I'm not laughing. There's nothing funny. You're not taking it serious. So basically, I resigned, and I was told, well, come back. We're going to sit. You're like any other athlete. You need to have work done. Go get the work done. Come on back. That information went to whoever at the head office, and they said, no, you're out. And so I wound up using Cobra and getting the surgery after I had resigned. And I see great now.
Right.
But that was just the final straw. I can't go into all this stuff that happened over, from 2004 to August of 2017 or
This is all with
2018.
Cirque?
Pardon me?
This is all with Cirque?
Yes. Well, you have to remember the original show was the Chapiteau in the tent that toured. And that terminated, that was finished December of 2015. And then the arena version of Corteo was, that was the second creation that I went through. And that was, what was that? November of 2017. So the arena show then started in 2017, and we started in Louisiana. Was that January 2017. And so, and then that show, I was there until August, and then I just was like, okay, I gotta go. I can't do this again. Something's going to give, and I don't want it to be my emotional and my mind. So I just need to get away.
I had no idea your association with him was that long. Okay, so
Well, it was on and off, but it was during that period.
you're being very generous to them and merciful.
Yeah,
Because I can tell you, it's interesting. I've just heard different things from different people. It's these microaggressions, and they can be very, they can almost be worse than the actual, something that's blunt and out there, because those pile up.
exactly.
I've heard prize fighters say, it's better that you just get knocked out cold than
to get those bam, bam.
Yeah, for the full
relentless.
assault, because that's damaging.
Yes, and eventually something is going to break. You're gonna, so it's and when you see, and this is not something that, especially for Black men, this is not. Now, I'm not putting myself in the class with any of the people that I'm about to say, but there have been others who have just poof, just said, I'm out. I can't. Dave Chappelle. There was a period when Martin.
Yeah.
You when you're being assaulted from every possible angle. I mean, from the dresser who is 20 some years old, who's supposed to just help you do what you need to do with dressing, and start giving you you're this and you're that, and you got to remember, I'm a 50 at the time, 50 some year old man, and here's this 20 some year old girl or boy talking to me like I'm the hired help.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're
it
gonna have
was
problems.
and condoned at at the show level. I'm not saying going back to the headquarters, but at least at the show level, you have that microcosm of the show manager, the artistic directors, and all of that that are resonant with the show. Uh, they don't hear anything that you have to say or anything that I had to say. They only, if I make a comment, it's talked over. If I make a suggestion, it's not relevant. Uh, uh, I have experience in the Navy. I have experience in the corporate world. All of it. We don't want to hear anything you have to say. Go out and whistle, and that's it. You're never going to do what you help the guys set up the network for our traveling show. Yeah, no, it didn't really happen. Oh, okay. You went in and you cooked for everybody, and yeah. Well, that didn't. It doesn't matter. It didn't happen. You're here to just do what you do, and we really don't want you here that long, but just get us through and where we need to be at, and then we're gonna dispose of you.
And that is literally,
Yeah.
that really is very much a part of the Black experience.
Mhm,
Just
mhm.
is. It really is. And nobody
We
can.
know you're going to work like a dog. We
Mhm.
know, just like in the Navy, as a black man, we had a saying. We, as when I say blacks, in order to be okay, you had to do 150%.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the same thing. I'm there, and I'm like, and so basically, they're saying, we know you're going to work. We know you're going to uh, transverse everything that we put in front of you, and you're going to do well on the show, and that's going to bring our ratings or whatever up. And then once we get going to where we want to, you're out. We're going to make sure you get out because we're going to treat you so bad that you're going to have no alternative, or you're going to pop. Because if I continue to do this to you, poke, 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 what I would do is I would change my number. You're dialing a number, they're dialing a number, and you have to literally change your number because everybody knows the number to call to get you uh, riled or
Mm.
provoked into a situation. So you have to constantly adjust. And meanwhile, you have to constantly be working to do your job and do that. And to get the type of response back from the audience consistently every night. And then the individuals that I'm working with treating you like you're second or third class citizen doesn't work.
Mm.
It doesn't work. Yeah.
Well, on a happier note, now tell me about your other circus experience.
Okay. I did the Offenburg Winter Circus where I was a guest ringmaster. That was in 2011. And then the real great experience was to tour with the Sirkus Finlandia in Finland. We did 126 cities all over Finland, from south to the east, west, north. We were all the way up in Ravoniemi, which is in the Arctic Circle. I met Santa Claus, and it was fantastic. But the respect and the nurturing, and I had never toured with a real circus. I got up every day. I hitched my trailer to the van, and I was in the caravan and drove off to the next city. And what a beautiful country Finland is. And but it was totally different than the treatment at Cirque du Soleil. It was a nurturing environment in Finlandia, and I would go back there anytime. It was just so much fun. I had a great time. What a wonderful circus and circus family. The senior has passed on, but what a nice man, what a nice family. It's just wonderful at Circus Finlandia. Very different than Cirque du Soleil. Very different.
You're creating webinars. You're going to be actually teaching your craft. And
Yes.
There's an audience for it, and naturally so.
Yes.
I think that's wondrous. So what stage of the process are you in at the moment?
Well, obviously, right now I'm in the stage of I've just put all the equipment together, the lighting, the green screen. I'm learning the OBS software, which is the teaching, or it's a video software that is used for video switching and things like that. And so I'm learning that, and also I'm putting together the actual curriculum that I'm going to be using, and I'm looking at the items that I'm going to use to teach the class. The type of whistling that I do is pucker whistling. So I'm going to teach how to ensure that you're training your ear. So when you go, that it's proper and you're not off, and you can train and you can learn it the proper way. And I'll put it together, but it's in its infancy stages. But everything else also has to be learned to be able to put it out there. And so the infrastructure, and then of course the classes will come later also. Yeah.
I love it. Sean Lomax, the GOAT. I love it, man.
The black experience in circuses go back hundreds of years, and we do it with our own style. The circus has been a microcosm of the outside world. Many of the same prejudices that you see in the outside world are present in the circus.
So it's moving past the vision or the limited vision that the society has for you and stepping into the talent and skill that you know you have to go forward as a performer.
The circus is a vast international community, and there's only one place to connect for jobs, events, the latest news, and so much more. CircusTalk.com. Join today.